Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Danny and Stan's Football Weekend, presented by NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com. Make sure and check out Chad and his mates and get some quality health care from a different perspective. And we'll talk a little bit of football this weekend, even though there wasn't local football to talk about, but there's local football to talk about in the weekend ahead. And the National Football League and college football certainly did their part in providing quality entertainment over the weekend. And you know one man who is consuming a whole lot of that is the one who's sitting socially distanced away from me. That is one Stan Weber, as the NFL in particular served up some real doozies on a Sunday to help make up for a Masters golf tournament that was ruined by Dustin Johnson. I'm sure he wouldn't look at it that way, but he made it a pedestrian event, to say the least. And so those are some of the things we'll talk about today, some interesting strategic things, some crazy finishes, some bad beats, all the things that make football entertaining. That's up next on Danny and Stan's Football Weekend, presented by NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com. It's on the Reasonably Irreverent podcast, and we have fun doing it each and every Monday. It's time now to get some great assistance on health care with Chad Beisel from NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com. And Chad, even your business's name would indicate that you have a real aggressive way and an important way to go after some health insurance for your clients.
What I've found out in the industry is just a lot of people are really confused. They don't know what plans are good, what their plans offer, how they cover. And so I've just taken the approach of being really educated on what options are available to clients and showing them all the options that are available and making sure they understand them so they can pick and choose what options are good for them.
And one thing that's really important, of course, is access to doctors and hospitals.
Absolutely. That's becoming a big issue for a lot of people. Some of the plans out there are going to restrict those clients to where they can and cannot go. So if you live just outside the Kansas City metro, some of the counties outside, you may not be able to go to some of the hospitals up here in the Kansas City area. So making sure that you have a plan that's got doctors and hospitals and places you want to go is really, really important today.
Learn more by visiting NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com and let Chad help you.
Hi, everybody. This is Matt Llewellyn from 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. I just want to thank everybody for supporting local restaurants during this time of uncertainty. 23rd Street Brewery is now open until this pandemic is over. And right now, more than anything, local restaurants need your help and support. Come on out and see us. 23rd Street Brewery is open now from 11:30 till 9 o'clock for dine-in and carry-out. Whatever we can do to help you out, maybe with your catering needs, too. I appreciate all the support, and thank you for continuing to shop local.
Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from WreckExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident from David Cowan. Visit WreckExpert.com and learn more. I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services. We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And, of course, the idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson & Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Stan, we weren't lacking in football entertainment, even though the locals didn't play. And actually, there was a lot of storylines around what we have lying ahead for our local teams. But let's start with the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, they had the bye week, a different kind of bye week. You have to get tested every day, so you really can't go anywhere, do anything like that. But in the ways that we view the Kansas City Chiefs, we view the other games, the other teams, the other quarterbacks. And I guess I'll start off with the MVP race. And yesterday, Russell Wilson had 3 more turnovers. That makes it 10 in the last 3 games. And I think now clearly Patrick Mahomes is the front runner for the MVP, if that really matters. And does, I think, to Chiefs fans still, because it hasn't become mundane yet. But I think we now see a couple of other players who I don't think have really inserted themselves in the narrative but maybe they should be. We see Aaron Rodgers continue to play really outstanding football, and his numbers are really just about every bit as good as Patrick Mahomes, and his team continues to win. And then we see players like Kyler Murray, who has numbers that are on pace to be better than Lamar Jackson's last year as far as both passing, rushing, touchdowns, etc. That's kind of an interesting thing that really got into focus yesterday on that crazy Sunday.
Yes, Kyler Murray, I think, is making a big push because you're always wanting as a voter to look around and say, is there someone that catches my eye that hasn't been here before? You don't want the same old. We see that with coaches of the year are often the coaches that move from a losing record to a winning record or a fairly good winning record, and then we just bypass the guy who dominates year after year and don't give him the award. So I do think Kyler Murray makes a big push, amazing throw to win a ball game, and then he's just played well all year, running and passing. The Arizona Cardinals are functioning at a high level for a team. Russell Wilson was a favorite for the first 6 weeks or so. I think he's the second best quarterback in the NFL. Had no problem with that. Let Russ cook, but I did not buy into the Seahawks being the best team in the National Football League, which is also where we were after about 6 weeks. The power polls said Seattle's number 1, Russell Wilson MVP. To this point, I said, okay, I'm good with Russell Wilson. He's doing a lot, but his defense is a big weight on his shoulders he's having to carry. And now we're seeing that play out where he's pushing things. He's still making a lot of great plays, but he's made enough mistakes that you've got to go back to Patrick Mahomes and say, here's the guy who's not making mistakes, is with the best team in the National Football League, and is putting up incredible numbers and doing it in a controlled fashion, not just to print numbers, but to win games and balancing it with the running game, making run checks, everything else. But I do think Kyler Murray can make a push. Aaron Rodgers is always there. He's a little bit like Patrick Mahomes that you may not want to give him the MVP, but I don't know how good the Packers are. They struggled yesterday against the Jacksonville Jaguars, so where are you going to rate Aaron? He's such a hard guy to get your arms around because on any given game, he has the capability to take it to a level that only Patrick Mahomes can. But I don't know. It's just hard to pin your arms around and say he's only won 1 Super Bowl when it appears he should have won a lot more. He's just the same story. He's still Aaron Rodgers right there. Should be in the top 3 or 4 no matter what. But does he have enough juice to take it over the top? Josh Allen does some
the
nice
Dustin
things.
Johnson of the NFL.
Yeah,
Until yesterday, Dustin Johnson only had 1 major. So
yeah, and then he, like you said, just took it off and dominated and won the Masters easily. So I do think Patrick Mahomes is in a good position. I think it'll be hard to vote Russell Wilson over him. And then everyone else has their reasons why you better be careful promoting them. If it's Tom Brady and you love what he's doing, well, you watch the Saints game and you go, man, the inconsistency's just not there. Even though it's a fun story in Tampa Bay to, if you like rooting for the comeback story, like Tiger Woods winning the Masters last year, everyone loved that, to see him come back. Do you love seeing Tom Brady? If you're a Chiefs fan, probably not, but others may love that story. How much are you going to buy into that? How about Drew Brees? He lit Tampa Bay up, was on a winning streak, but then he gets his ribs bruised and doesn't finish the game for the Saints in their game. So, you're going to have to look around a little bit, but I think Patrick Mahomes now is in a very good position. But Kyler Murray, I thought, even a few weeks ago, was a real threat because he's not just putting up fancy numbers, he's actually winning games. And yesterday was another highlight reel win for him.
All right, make a choice. What was better, the throw or the catch?
The catch. But the throw, the fact that he almost got sacked and was rolling to his left and turned around and threw a normal pass, Aaron Rodgers does that. We haven't seen Patrick Mahomes have to do that very much, so I'm not bashing him, but Aaron Rodgers is the best of throwing not just a crazy ball up, but a catchable ball, turns and spins and comes down with the nose down. It looked like he was throwing the ball right to his guy. So missing out on a sack was pretty incredible. I mean, my jaw just dropped like, oh, how did he get away again? But then double teamed on the front and back. I mean, that was an incredible catch. So I'm going to go catch first.
I think I would pick the catch, too. It was remarkable. It wins the game, and it just reinforces Houston Texans fans' misery at having traded that player in a trade that really was, not even for incredible value that you figure maybe you should get in that particular case. Let's turn to the Chiefs' next assignment. It's the Las Vegas Raiders at Las Vegas. And yesterday it looked like the Raiders were practicing for the Chiefs, because what did they do? They ran the ball play after play after play to the tune of 5 yards a carry, and certainly that has got to be a little bit of a warning sign for the Chiefs. Now, the Raiders beat the Chiefs sort of at their own game the first time around by winging it around, hitting some deep balls, playing aggressively, and they were the better team that day, certainly deserved the 40-32 win. But that running game yesterday, even against a Denver team, has got to be a little concerning.
It does, and it's not just Josh Jacobs. He's doing okay, but his rushing average isn't that good at all right now at 3.8. But Devontae Booker averaging a 6.2. They're coming at you with a wave of good talent. The Raiders appear to be sound, well coached, and just not a lot of weaknesses around. We talked about their pass rush was not good enough. Maybe earlier in the year they weren't getting to the quarterback and sacking, but it's not like they have a bunch of bums. I'm just really impressed with the overall roster. Then you start looking at the coach. I'm impressed with John Gruden after initially saying don't buy into a complete quick turnaround. He's not a dominant coach like he was a dominant announcer. He needed to learn some things, and I think he has learned. I think now he's a little underrated. We forget about that this guy has the potential to be a high-level coach, and he's staying calmer about everything. And then quarterback. What does your quarterback do? And I've been on Derek Carr as a more positive player probably the last few years, and a lot of people would say, no way, shake your head. How could you possibly think that? Okay, let's just go back to week 3 or 4, watching him this year under the coaching that he's gotten from Gruden, the reestablished Derek Carr with this group and the weapons that he has and so forth. He fumbled the ball a couple times in the pocket, which hurt them. They haven't been perfect, but all of their losses are legitimate opponents that they played against, and I think they're finding their stride. He's doing a nice job of quarterbacking the team. They have a go-to guy in a tight end that's hard to stop. So I think the Raiders are a very legitimate opponent, not just because, hey, they're another NFL team. We've found that it doesn't matter being at home right now. I mean, statistically, Danny, we're running in a year where going into Sunday, I believe the visiting teams have won more games than the home teams. So it's not like, oh, man, you're going to Vegas. I loved how you said Las Vegas, rolled it right off your tongue. You didn't stick with Raiders. You went Las Vegas Raiders. I'm very impressed. Hard to do. I hear a lot of San Diego out of my mouth and others, and it's been years now with the L.A. Chargers. This is our first year with the Vegas Raiders, but I don't think the home field and all that matters. I think it's a legitimate foe. Chiefs are the best team in the NFL, but the Raiders give you a heck of a fight. I think they're hitting on all cylinders, and they're ready to battle the Chiefs in this kind of environment. I don't think they have the chip on their shoulder like no one respects us, but now it's time for them to grow up, Raiders, and say when everybody knows we should play a good game. It's a feature game on Sunday night. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth are going to be there. Can we play at a high level? I expect they will. I think the Chiefs are going to have to go beat them. And what we're seeing in the AFC, Danny, is a tougher conference to get through to go to the Super Bowl, but I think we've got a bunch of teams 6 or 3 or better. We got the good teams and the bad teams sorting out in the AFC right now, and the Raiders are definitely one of the teams that the Chiefs have to deal with as a good matchup. Division foes, I say this often, they know each other better. They strategize all the time. If a coach has a spare 5 hours and he's not a golfer, he's going to go back to a division foe.
Right.
And you're going to start at the top. You're going to pick the team that's the best in your division, and you're going to study them. And so that's what the Raiders have been doing. This should be a super fun matchup on Sunday night.
Derek Carr did play well last year, for instance, but I think the problem for him is one thing. He fumbles the ball too much. And you would think that that's something you could clean up, but he just doesn't seem to have the kind of awareness that you need in that one particular aspect of the game, because he does, when he gets sacked, he'll fumble it a lot.
Yes, and he doesn't seem to see it coming a lot of times. There's a couple aspects. You cannot learn pocket presence. It's one of the magical things. I know there are option quarterbacks that when you talk to them, they can't really explain why they made the decisions of keep or pitch, cut back. I know that in spades because I was really good at that. But when I was in the pocket, I was really bad at that magic of just knowing where the receivers are. The whole thing, pocket presence and throwing the ball, I'm going to put those two things together because I had decent pocket presence. I didn't get sacked. I didn't fumble. But that's more because I was ready to run all the time,
Right,
so it was
right.
more of a running thing. But, how do you grip the ball? For him to throw accurate passes, he may have a kind of a soft grip on his hands. You can do that out in the summer, a million passes, but in a real game, you get touched on the elbow, boom, here goes the ball flying out. So I don't know. I don't know him well enough, but
Right.
It might be something like that. Or it may just be that your concentration level. When you're in the pocket, Danny, I do know this, even though I wasn't a good passer, you have to have complete confidence in your offensive line. You don't think it out like the fans do and the coaches do, like, oh, man, our left tackle is going to have a hard time blocking so-and-so. No, the quarterback's got to drop back and say, I can move in the pocket a little bit, but I've got to concentrate on the defenders and my receivers downfield. So I am going to believe that everything's fine around here. And I think Carr is a little too comfortable. I mean, he believes for a long time. He'll sit there, and if his line gives him 4 seconds, he is just sitting right there in the pocket looking around. And then when it collapses, he's surprised. Where you see Patrick Mahomes, even when he gives a lot of time, he refuses to sit there.
Right.
It's just like, I can make as good of decisions on the move. I'm getting out of here. I'm not going to let someone – Derek really seems comfortable, like, count of 4, count of 5. I'm still back here. And all of a
Right.
sudden, someone comes off a block and knocks it away. But he lost the game this year. 2 fumbles in the pocket. It really is the thing that's lacking. But, 7.6 yards per attempt. Yards per attempt is the greatest indicator of what winning football is about. And when you get up into the 7s and the upper 7s, you're doing a very good job. So he's done a nice job throwing the ball. And the tight end, Darren Waller, is a beast. You can play perfect defense, and he can still get a 6-yard pass. Because if they want to, they can have him post up like he's an inside center in basketball and throw it to his opposite hand, and they can get their 5 or 6 yards. So I really like what the Raiders are doing, and I think they're going to be real competition for the Chiefs. And if the Chiefs lose, just in case, Danny, a little feature of next week's, a little preview, I guess, the Raiders' schedule down the stretch is a little bit easier than the Chiefs' schedule down the stretch. So
Right.
Could they make up one more game in there? Could my guess of the Chiefs going 14-2 is what I've been sitting on for a long time? If they lose to the Raiders, is that the one? Or do they fall to the
One more
13-3?
time, right.
And the Raiders have, an outside chance
Right.
of matching that and having a tiebreaker.
Chiefs probably will have this one circled a little bit. The Raiders did take a victory lap, but the Raiders will have the motivation of being a 7-point underdog on their own field, even though they beat the Chiefs last time. So a lot at play in
But
this
let's
game.
don't forget before we go, Andy Reid on bye weeks. Coming back after byes.
Right.
Usually always wins, and he almost always wins division games. So we've talked up the Raiders enough. Chiefs are going to go there and win the game. I think
There
the
you
Chiefs
go.
are better.
The Chiefs set to go on Sunday Night Football. It should be a lot of fun for Kansas City Chiefs fans to have an evening game, to invite some folks over and watch the Chiefs and the Raiders in a big-time matchup. Let's talk some college football next. The locals were all resting on, well, in some cases, their laurels. I mean, basically, they're all trying to recover at this point in time, and some interesting things around the country as well, and in the Big 12 and SEC. And that comes your way next on Danny and Stan's Football Weekend.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
It's time to visit once again with Dr. Brad Woodle of Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. And Dr. Brad, your group has reached a significant milestone in receiving a prestigious award.
Danny, we've been honored for the 10th year in a row to receive the 5-Star Service Award from Integrity Doctors. And what this means is that all of our offices throughout Kansas City have made sure to give people excellent chiropractic and acupuncture care, be on time, and do a very complete and thorough job, and have great responses back from patients.
I know firsthand because I was just treated, for instance, today by you. You have a wide range of fantastic services.
Absolutely. Chiropractic, acupuncture, physiotherapies, rehab, anything that you need to keep you well in bones, muscles, joints, and nerves.
And I can't say how much it's benefited me in the time I've coming here, upwards of 2 years. My back has improved 100%. And you can have that same kind of treatment too. For more information and your chance for a healthier way of life, visit asfca.com/Danny today. Firsthand, I have enjoyed the benefits of the CBD products from Canaway. My back feels better and better these days, as a major part of my routine are the pain-relieving salve and the pure gold oil. And recently I had the pleasure of a treatment session using the Canaway CBD in conjunction with the Microlight 830 cold laser. The non-invasive treatment session worked wonders, and I could barely tell I was even being touched. TML 830 is the first 3B cold laser to get FDA approval, and in addition, the combination treatment with CBD is patent pending. The new smart laser is the only hands-free cold laser in the world and is used by athletic trainers, chiropractors, MDs, physical therapists, and veterinarians everywhere. You can learn more about all the great benefits from the complete line of Canaway CBD products by contacting my friend Sherry McCants at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312 to get outstanding information about Canaway. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you had a great year in 2019, a record year. 2020 comes, things are moving smoothly along, and then the coronavirus comes. But your company seemed to be very ready, very proactive, and very ready to serve your customers well.
Yeah, we adopted social distancing very early before the cities even put out the notices. And we started working from home. We are largely cloud-based as a company, so that transition was easy. Our technicians are wearing masks and gloves, and salespeople are not meeting with homeowners. We're doing everything digitally and doing everything we can to do our part to get over this as quickly as possible.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Completely by schedule, it was a bye week for all three of our area teams, and now they get set for the stretch run. And in each case, the teams have had a little bit of struggles of late, and so they're going to try to bounce back from that. And the Missouri Tigers really get themselves a good opportunity here. They've got a wounded South Carolina team. Who knows? They've just fired their coach. We don't know what the internal workings of that were. Maybe the coach was, maybe the players weren't on board by this point in time, or maybe they really like the coach and it's a gut punch to them. Maybe they really like the interim guy. I don't know. I don't think there's any way to really judge this particular factor as a negative or a positive
for this game, and that's what matters, because this is where Missouri is going to go on the road to play South Carolina, who I thought gave a very representative effort in their game in the last game, and they showed unbelievable capability of running the football. And so I thought they did a lot of things. Now, if you would have gone back 5 years, let's just say, Danny, and talked about this subject on College Game Day, I said I do not believe in Will Muschamp. Never have, and I thought Florida was in trouble. Could not believe South Carolina hired him. So I am the least surprised guy in the world to see this not working. Now, to do it at this time of year, in a COVID year where we keep asking, is this going to be a free year for coaches, and you already get fired? It's a little bit surprising. Now they're going to go with an offensive coordinator, which is the old Georgia quarterback, I believe, Bobo. He calls plays for South Carolina. So they're not awful. Missouri's going to have to play to win. I think the Tigers will be excited. It's unfortunate that we missed out on the opportunity. I was looking forward to an 11 o'clock kick on Saturday, Mizzou hosting Georgia in that game. Didn't get a chance to see it, so excited to see him back on the field, and this is absolutely one of those even opponents, and this is where Eli Drinkwitz needs to set the tone. This isn't a free year. This year counts, and the psychology of the teams in the middle of the division. Hey, you can go and say Florida and Georgia are going to be on the elite side, worried about winning games against Alabama more than they are in their division on the East. I'm okay with that. They're not unbeatable for Missouri, but let's just give those two that thought process. Now, you need to be the third best team. Most people would say, hey, it's going to be Tennessee. It doesn't have to be Tennessee. They've not proven to be that team.
For a
but
long
the
time
Kentuckys
now.
and the South Carolinas, those are the matchups
And
where
Drinkwitz
Mizzou
got
has
the
to
win against Kentucky after 5 consecutive losses. So that was a
right,
big
and
deal.
now you need to go out and take care of business against the South Carolina. So this is big. This is division. If Eli Drinkwitz can get rolling and say, we're going to win this type of game, I know we've had tough road games, lost a game in Tennessee. Florida's really hitting their stride. I mean, They're playing at a high level. Let's give Missouri a break right there because Florida has turned it around, and now they got a Heisman Trophy quarterback. I mean, a true candidate in Trask. He's really playing at a high level. They've made good decisions, and so this will be a real telling game for Missouri. We keep waiting to kind of let the cement dry, but it seems like someone writes their name in it, and we've got to redo it for Mizzou. Let's go from canceled games to changing the schedule to beating LSU, having home games when you didn't think you were going to have home games. That happened twice this year for Missouri when they didn't play on the appropriate Saturday against a home opponent. So, wow, this is. I think South Carolina is not someone you can count on just running over. They have a physicality, and when you got a new coach and you're wondering what you're doing, it's like having a new quarterback, Danny. If you can turn to your running game and calm things down, it gives you a chance. So I think South Carolina will be fine. Doesn't matter who the head coach is this week. In my opinion, I don't think it's going to swing either way. Maybe the players will get mad and play really hard for Coach Muschamp. I don't know. But they're a team kind of in the middle, quality athletes, but not in a dominant form at all. And Missouri right now is going to tell us where they are. This is a fun week to watch these two teams play. Again, this is not one that's going to be highlighted around the nation. Right. It's going to take 5 seconds for College Game Day on Saturday on the television version on ESPN. They'll talk about it for 5 or 10 seconds and move on. Maybe more because Muschamp got fired. But still, This is a much more intriguing game for people like us who are watching the Mizzou program.
And I said purely by schedule, that's not the case for Missouri. Their game obviously was affected by COVID. And in the cases of Kansas and Kansas State, it was a regular old bye week. Let's talk about the Cats now. After a good run, they've had a couple of losses in a row. One, quote unquote, the last one especially frustrating, no question about that, as they for once outgained somebody in a game. But now they play at Iowa State as a significant underdog. But the motivation is clearly outstanding for Kansas State. I mean, they still have a bona fide chance to get into the Big 12 championship game. But it takes an upset in a tough environment on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you just circled that game as the last game of the season and said, if you win this game, you're going to be in the Big 12 championship game, there'd be all kinds of hype around it. But as the dominoes might fall, this is the toughest game of the three. Then you go on the road to Baylor. It's not going to be easy, but if you take a K-State team that played Oklahoma State as well as they did and add a win at Iowa State, there's going to be a lot of confidence oozing out. So it's okay to say they're the favorite at Baylor. Won't be easy, but you could get it done. Then you play Texas at home. Well, K-State just unbelievably, I think they're sitting at 6 straight games or something they've won on Senior Day. And in 2012, they played Texas in the last game when they didn't have a Big 12 championship game. It kind of was a quasi-Big 12 championship game. Could you imagine cold weather and K-State fired up on December 5th with a chance if you can beat Texas? Texas, Tom Herman's had K-State's number in close games. They've won every time against K-State, and they've all been close. So this isn't easy, but of the three, this is the biggest one. This opens up the doors to that possibility, and the momentum opportunity is there. We've seen West Virginia start playing at a higher level, and the players just, there's nothing spectacular about West Virginia, but man, they're well coached, they know what they want to do, and they need a little bit of confidence. Well, now they're getting it, and they're putting good game after good game together. K-State could do that as well. Iowa State, Breece Hall is probably the best player in the Big 12. Tylan Wallace, a wide receiver at Oklahoma State, should be in the discussion. But Chuba Hubbard, the star running back, AP first-team All-American, all that, is not in the subject. He has his longest run of the year is 32 yards for Oklahoma State. And Breece Hall has 4 runs over 50 yards, 100 yards in every game. He's lighting it up. He's hard to stop. So will K-State be able to control the running game with Iowa State will be a big thing. If they can make Iowa State pass, advantage is switched to the Wildcats.
And K-State, what we've seen is that on their side of the ball, the running game is vital also.
Yeah, and they finally ran for over 200 yards against Oklahoma State, and it wasn't just a one-man show of Deuce Vaughn, 50 and 20 and 30. Deuce Vaughn was just one of the runners. Now, Will Howard had a big run. His 69-yard run was giant, but K-State can find those big plays, but they need to be down after down able to run the football, and that's going to be the question mark as they go to Iowa State. Did they take a step forward? Did they finally come together as an offensive unit to find a running game that's consistent? It's a core part of Courtney Messingham, the offensive coordinator's style of football. And everything flows after that if they can get something going in a running game. And they've kind of been doing it without that this year. It's been like hand tied behind their back, trying to, like you said, they've been outgained. They had to do it in special teams and win the turnover battle and all those things. Number one on the list of to do is you got to cut the turnovers out. K-State's offense is not good enough to put turnovers on the board. Forget the turnover margin. They just need to have a 0 by the turnovers, which is what they did for half the season. But West Virginia, 3 interceptions. Oklahoma State ends up with 2 turnovers. OSU had 0. So that's just not a formula that K-State can win with. That's number one. Cut out the turnovers and play good special teams, and suddenly you have a chance. A team that K-State's won against Iowa State 10 of the last 11 times, I believe, maybe even 11 out of 12. The only time they've lost to Iowa State in recent memory was 2 years ago in Bill Snyder's last game. And even in that game, K-State was at Iowa State and had double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. It was like a miracle win for Iowa State to come back and win that thing.
Well, a miracle win is what we're looking for from Kansas. That's the category you have to put anything in. They haven't even played a game that was close in the fourth quarter, and it's hard to summon up an idea that it'll be the case against Texas. The only thing you can think is 5 Texas turnovers and them sleepwalk through the game, but Kansas just needs a little something to hang their hat on because it seems super likely that they are going to go over for this year, and that's not good.
No, and it's so hard at this time of year being around a football program like Kansas, Danny. It's so easy for us to have Monday roll through Saturday, and you and I will be doing college game day, and then we'll have another week, and we'll move on. When it's your life and you haven't won a game, basketball season at a school like KU is now at the front doorstep. It's real. It's not that far, and Kansas starts playing against number 1 Gonzaga. You don't think that's being talked about? I mean, That is the talk of the campus when it comes to what are they interested in sports, is that big basketball game. And the basketball season's been delayed, so the build-up for excitement's even more. And then you say, come on, as your football team goes through the steps of studying for their opponent, it's such a grind, and then you line up and you say, last week, for instance, Oklahoma's the opponent. And you're going, okay, anytime over the last 10 years, if we're getting ready to play Oklahoma, the chances of us winning in Norman are so near to 0, it's unbelievable. How can we even look at each other with a straight face and say, let's prepare for victory? You just want to chuckle. Like, really? You can't get depressed, but you can't take it seriously. How do you find that mode to get better in a week? And just this week's a little bit of the same. It's Texas. I mean, the difference in the athletes is tremendous. Texas has a lot to play for, and here you are, Kansas. Now, Texas is likely to sleepwalk. They usually sleepwalk, and they've even lost to Kansas in recent memory. And they've won some miracle games. So you've got that. I think KU will be excited after sitting out a week. I think the weather's going to be good, which, bad weather would be bad for Texas, but in this case, I think the weather being good more than likely on Saturday will fire KU up. Like, how much fun is it? Look over there. We're playing the Texas Longhorns.
And it's a beautiful day.
A beautiful day. Let's get after it. So there's always a chance that you start doing some things. But here's the problem, the preparation. I can't imagine what they could get done last week getting ready for OU. I cannot imagine how they got anything done, how anyone took any meeting seriously. If you could just tell the team, forget who we're playing, and maybe then you can get a good hour of practice. But as soon as you start saying, here's what Oklahoma does, everyone just starts shaking their head and goes, it doesn't matter what they do. They're going to kill us.
Right.
And there's a little bit of that. Now you get a week off, and it's Texas, and you're looking at no wins. So it is a really hard time to rally the troops. And there will be some adrenaline on Saturday for KU. That can give them hope. But here's the big problem. The offensive line is just not able to function at a high enough level to give them a chance. So to drive the ball 50 or 60 yards is so unlikely. So you start looking at Kansas' score and you go, man, if you get a turnover and everything goes right. I mean, if everything goes right, I got Kansas for 17 points.
Right. They've broken 20 twice.
Maybe 20?
Yeah.
I mean, if they play really excited and hit a long pass, but if you hit a long pass and you get stopped, let's say you hit a 40, 50-yard pass and you get tackled at the 25 going in, the chances of you making it the rest of the 25 yards are not great. So that's where when we start calculating the chance for victory, even against a Texas team that might be asleep, it's so hard because I could easily see them sitting on 10 points at the end of the game.
Right.
And if they get to 20, you'll have a very nice job. Great job, KU. But in modern football, do you think Texas isn't going to score 21 points with Sam Ehlinger?
Right.
As a veteran quarterback? Because even if they're asleep and it's 3rd and 7, you can just do a quarterback run. And there's a chance Sam Ehlinger is going to get 5, and it's 4th and 2, and you go, what the hell? Let's just go for 4th and 2, and Sam Ehlinger is going to get the 2 yard. I mean,
right.
Texas has a lot to play for. They have been, their fans have been on them about being disappointments, and they're I think they're saying we're not disappointments. We're going to win this league.
Right.
But they have to do work. Instead of being the favorites, they're the underdog. I think they'll function higher. So, hey, it's going to be a beautiful day for football. If you're one of the lucky ones that get to go to the stadium and watch, maybe Bill Self will be there to wave at you. Enjoy the day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's certainly what Kansas fans will be thinking about. So we got a lot of football this weekend, and it should be a lot of fun and a great game to wrap it up on Sunday night. Stan, always a pleasure.
Thanks, Danny. We'll talk to you again on Saturday.
Yes.
Full college game day, 2 hours on Sports Radio 810 WHB from 9 to 11 in our locals. Hopefully we'll be playing. The COVID announcements will come all week long. We know that now.
That's right. That is right.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
NoNonsenseHealthcareNinja.com, specializing in expert healthcare guidance and assistance for you.